Hey team, this is Jen here. I am welcoming you to our week 3 here in our Victorian Literature course. And I'm making this video today to give us a sense of what's coming up in week 3. Week 3 is a super busy week, so I want to make sure that we all have our ducks in a row because this is the first week where we are using the wiki. And wikis may not be familiar or comfortable for everybody in the course, and they're definitely well, they're group work, they're collaboration, and that always asks us to um, check in with our sense of how to work with others, which is challenging, I think, for many of us, for myself included. I also wanted to reflect on week 2 and look forward with success to the coming weeks by giving you some tips. So in week 2, I was so pleased to see the caliber of responses in the discussion forums. I've left you comments in the gradebook that are intended to give you insights into what I see as your major strengths in those first posts, and also direct your attention to areas that could use a little bit of attention to help you to progress as an academic writer in this course. Coming into week 3, we are reading Dickens's novel Oliver Twist. And if you've never read Dickens before, you are really in for a treat. He is one of the greatest writers, in my opinion. And Oliver Twist is a fantastic novel with a lot of layers of social criticism and character development and imagery. There's so much going on in this novel that when you sit down to write the discussion forum posts that are due this week, I want you to keep in mind that you are not required to write to the prompt. And that is true for any forum that you are asked to write about. So you can feel free to run with the prompt if that sounds genuine and if it sounds interesting for you. On the other hand, if you pull out some contexts to Oliver Twist that are not within the boundaries of the prompt. For example, this week you're asked to compare Oliver Twist to Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress. That might not seem very interesting for you, and after 4 or 5 students have responded to the post, I find that students can start to repeat the same ideas over and over again. There's only so much, perhaps, that you can say when you write to a prompt that's constructed and given by an instructor. So write to the prompt if the prompt seems interesting for you. If the prompt doesn't seem interesting for you, what I need for you to do is meet the criteria of the rubric in a way that does seem interesting for you. So pull out contexts that you could possibly develop into paper topics, because that's what the discussion forum is. It's a staging ground for experimentation and practice to help to move you along. So keep that in mind as you go and make your discussion forum post for week 3. I wanted to talk a little bit about the wiki that's due. If you are a member of the wiki group, I hope that you've taken the advice that I offered for you in my announcement for week 1 about wikis, where I said it's a good idea to reach out to your wiki group members way ahead of time and get a sense about what you want to write about. Now, this week's wiki is focused on issues of labor, work, and especially child labor, because in this module there is a slant toward examining some of the complexities of child labor during the Victorian era. So in the wiki this week, wiki members are asked to compose a collaborative piece, a living piece, in which each member brings some special nugget about concerning work, labor, and child labor. Now, when you make your wiki post, you are able to include any kind of materials that you would like. So you can include links, images, but you want to almost teach us something about that topic, about work and labor. Please go to the wiki here in Module 3 and read what your classmates have composed. And feel free also to reach out for help if at any point along this line you feel confused about what a wiki is supposed to do. Wikis are, as I said, unique and they're challenging, and they're very disconcerting for many of us to have to do that. Keep in mind, though, that at the end of completing every wiki, um, or completing the wiki that you are in, you are asked to fill out a feedback survey that only I see, in which you give me feedback about your members, the members of your group, and how they performed. So in other words, if you feel like one of the members of the group didn't pull her weight, or a member of the group was being bossy and tended to revise all of your work, or whatever, that's a chance for you to weigh in and let me know what was going on behind the scenes. That does play a role, of course, in my evaluation of the work. And I do want to know those things. If you think that a member of your group was really great in orchestrating collaboration, I also want to know the good things that happen in your wiki group. So keep that in mind as you work in your group. That's an important aspect of group work, right? Is to be transparent and to make sure that whoever's doing the evaluation has a true and honest sense of your experiences in that group. So that's something important to keep in mind. This week too, week 3, is a good time to start thinking about the week 4 paper that will be due, the week 4 report, as it's called. This report is asking for you to start thinking about a potential context that you might want to write about concerning the Victorian period and concerning the primary texts that will be engaging this term. And it asks you to do some preliminary research toward that context to help get the juices flowing. Now, I recommend that you watch some of my overview videos on YouTube. I have a video that can help you with beginning basic research, exploratory research. I also have a video on context, and I want you to watch those 2 videos before you start brainstorming for your first paper in this course. This first paper, this report, rather, is asking that you start thinking about what you might want to write your final paper about. You want to go off things that interest you. What do you tend to care about when you come to literature? You don't want to write about something that another scholar has written about. You want to always begin with your own interests and the unique ways that you read literature, right? The things that you see in these texts that nobody else probably sees. So that's what you want to hone in on. Now, we haven't yet read all of the texts that are on the table for this term, so feel free to look ahead and see what else we're going to be reading and see if you can perhaps feel any interest in some of those texts, even if you haven't read them before. Keep in mind that this first milestone is very preliminary, and you have the liberty to change your mind 5,176 times if that's what it takes. In fact, I think that it is a strong mark of an academic when a lot of mind changing goes on. You should be constantly thinking and rethinking right up until the last bell, and even after the last bell. That's the sign of an active mind. That's a sign that you are exactly where you should be. So milestone 1 is a low stakes, no commitment exploration of some possible contexts, some lenses that you might want to explore and unpack and tease out in a final project. It can be as basic or as complex as it is for you at this preliminary state. And it does ask that you manifest some exploratory research. Now, for this assignment, this report, don't be thrown off by the report. All that I want simply is I want for you to look at the rubric and I want you to compose your ideas according to it. So very basic. This is just following a regular MLA paper format, and it is just describing to me what your ideas are for that. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week.